in the middle of an infinite ocean, and I'm stranded here for the next 100 days, with no food, basically no resources, and no friends. This guy doesn't count, he's not my friend. I'm not only going to attempt to survive here, but also transform this barren, minuscule mound of dirt into an epic tropical civilization paradise sprawling with inhabitants. That's right, I'm going to get villagers. I'm also going to attempt to collect every block and item added in the new 1.21 update, get full enchanted diamond gear, and even get other wood types. Seems pretty easy, right? No! I couldn't even find anyone who's ever done this before. This was literally the hardest challenge I've ever done. So without further ado, sit back, relax, and go get your snacks. Because this is how I survived 100 days on a deserted island in Minecraft Hardcore. On day 1, I was summoned into an infinite abyss of ocean with nothing but the non-existent clothes on my back. Got a disgusting creature here. As always, because I'm an Aquarius, and I'm not like other axolotls, I decided to start with the extremely unique decision of chopping down my first tree, making a table crafting, and constructing my first device. I'm starting on this island a level 0 crook with absolutely no friends. Absolutely no friends. But I dare to dream. One day, I'll be a level 100 mafia boss, I'll reach Town Hall 37, and maybe I'll even have 20 million power in Rise of Kings. After defiling my first act of nature, I managed to profit a couple saplings. Eggs are still $10 a gallon though, so I began my next money-making hack I learned on TikTok. A stable 9-to-5 job. I mean, farming. They don't want you to know this one. No one likes you. I have ambitious goals for these 100 days, but for now, I'm just a humble seafaring lad who's sometimes a genocidal maniac. I'm just quirky like that. Whoa, that looks cool. Oh my gosh, it's so deep. Oh my god, I'm already dying. I forgot I'm in hardcore. Anyways, I continued exterminating the native sea life population with my bare hands until I grew a conscience. Oh my god, this already drowned. I don't have tridents, do they? I don't even have a sword. What am I supposed to do? Okay, I'm retreating. Hopefully they don't come on my island. Our first priority is to expand our island enterprise and franchise our tree farm business to stimulate the deserted island economy. And I want to do this within the first few days of this challenge, so we need to get to work. You see, not only are we going to need a lot of dirt for building the island and lots of wood for trading with villagers later on, we need a large dirt platform for wandering traders, and ideally passive mobs to spawn, so we can get different sapling types and foliage, wool for beds, leather for enchanting, and maybe even sugarcane if we're lucky. So after beginning the next generation in the line of Ben the Boss Oak Tree Products Incorporated, I flattened the island by mining slower than my dad when he went to the store to get milk, before upgrading to a proper excavator. I then began on my first real estate endeavor and constructed our first property. I mean, it may be a bit dirty, but it'll do the trick. Laugh now, I command it. Please get out. Thank you. Know your place. Yeah, unfortunately, it'll probably only sell for like 2.1 million, but they can all be winners. I then added a front door to our property. Hey, you'll be fine out there. Don't worry. Don't worry. Nothing bad is gonna happen. And then began excavating a tunnel into the Earth's crust. The plan. Oh, sorry, I forgot to provide a proper warning. It's now time for the plan. Step 1, begin agricultural enterprise. Status complete. Step 2, become a homeowner. Status impossible. Step 3, obtain iron armor and tools. In progress. I didn't get any iron, but I did obtain fossil fuels so I can increase my carbon footprint. I don't know what carbon footprint is, but it sounds cool, so I want more of it. After spreading the light of Jeebus across our island and cooking up a midnight snack, we had officially survived one day on a deserted island in Minecraft Hardcore. So I'll make sure to put that on our resume. Isn't that right, you disgusting beast? No one likes you. You have no friends.
Jollibee chicken fillet!
I then dove into the depths to depopulate the local oceanic population and the local underwater vegetation on the morning of day 2. After acquiring sustenance, it was time for step 4, expand the island. I began by constructing, or I guess destructing, a basement for our dirt mansion to collect an amassment of dirt, and then began placing it in around the island. Then I found lapis? Yeah, I was a bit confused by this, but apparently lapis can spawn as high as Y64, which is crazy, but anyways, I continued the expansion of our landmass and tree farm enterprise for the rest of the day, and then epically upgraded our tool set on the morning of day 3. Unfortunately, our island is still smaller than Eckhart Tolle's ego, but we needed to be larger than One Piece's episode count. So I returned to placing cubic meters of dirt with my bare hands, faster than AI is gonna take my job. Once I ran out of dirt, I absolutely skedaddled into the mines and began destructing the most convoluted tunnel you'll ever see, and then found this cool water cave that led into the ocean. Awesome. I then went back to hacking at stone until I found this patch of dirt, of which I began extracting. I then resurfaced and went back to constructing a literal island, again with my bare hands. Although I'm not 100% sure that I have hands, because I am an axolotl. Once my construction materials were depleted, I headed back into the mines to obtain more. I then finally found iron on the morning of day 4. I scurried back up to the surface and smelted up my newfound profits to create a brand new pickaxe, a bucket, and a shield. Then I chopped down a tree and used the rest of the iron to make an iron shirt and an iron stick. I then headed back into the mines and continued losing brain cells faster than an iPad kid playing Clash of Clans while scrolling through TikTok simultaneously, until I decided to head down to Deep Slate level, which is when I basically immediately ran into a mine shaft. I decided to conquer my cowardly nature and jumped into action, and I pretty quickly found our first vein of shiny blue rocks, which I promptly defended and then collected. I then went around breaking a bunch of cobwebs for string, which we can use to craft wool for a bed. After a bit more exploring and profit collection, however, my block game induced anxiety meter was higher than your screen time, so I absolutely traversed my way back up to the surface faster than the speed of light. I then got a job as a lumberjack for a short while before constructing our first diamond pickaxe, and using the string we got to craft our first bed. I then decided to sleep. So it's now day 5, and it's time to fully complete step 4. So I crafted some more iron armor and tools and headed back into the mine, and I pretty quickly hit a gravel patch, which I promptly destructed. You see, gravel can be used to craft coarse dirt, and coarse dirt can be turned back into dirt with a hoe, which effectively turns 2 dirt into 4. And you can continue this process as much as you want as long as you have enough gravel. So after fully demolishing both a gravel and a dirt patch, I headed back up to the surface and crafted a bunch of coarse dirt, and got to work placing it into the island and converting it into dirt. And since we're gonna need a lot of dirt to build the whole island later on, and funnily enough, gravel is more available to us than dirt via the bottom of the ocean, we're gonna be using this method a lot. I did that until I ran out of coarse dirt, and then expanded our tree farm some more. I then used the iron we got from our underground business venture to complete our full set of iron armor and tools, completing step 3. So it's now time for step 5, but I'll explain more about that in 73.8 seconds. For now, I just continued expanding our tree farm enterprise a bit for the rest of the day, and then almost destroyed our dirt hut on the realized I was a despicable human being for even thinking of committing such an atrocious act. So I rebuilt it and then headed back into the mines. You see, we not only need to get dirt to expand the island as quickly as possible for wandering traders and wood, but we also need to get enough blocks to build a mob farm as quickly as possible, because a mob farm is actually our ticket to getting villagers, because of zombie villagers. I'll explain more later, but for now, after destroying this dirt and gravel patch that was larger than my ego, I resurfaced again, crafted up some more coarse dirt, and continued constructing the island. I then began chopping down trees, clearing leaves, and replanting saplings to further franchise our tree farm corporation. Trees kept growing, so I continued that process until basically the whole island was covered in saplings. And then I headed back into the mine to collect the rest of the dirt and gravel patch I left behind earlier. Then on the morning of day 7, I went back to placing dirt into the island, and with that, we're basically done with step 4, and can fully move on to step 5 of our epic plan, the mob farm. So I ate a ribeye medium rare, and then created a chest to store our mob farm resources. We're gonna need like over 20 stacks of blocks and a bunch of other stuff, so we have a bit to go, but nonetheless, I crafted some of the other materials we're going to need and put them into this chest. I then headed back into the mines and continued mining for the rest of the day, and for the morning of day 8. But that process was becoming more boring than my life story, so I returned to the surface, expanded our wheat farm, added our new profits to the mob farm materials chest, and then realized there wasn't much else to do with my life, so I headed back into the mines and completely obliterated the Earth's crust for 8 billion years. Yep, that's 100% factual. As I returned to the surface, I had the misfortune of remembering what phantoms were, and like always, these things are going to be really annoying throughout this challenge. I have no enemies, except phantoms. Those things suck. I continued expanding the island by creating another outline a few blocks out and beginning to fill it in. I couldn't afford my mortgage payments anymore, so I held back my tears as I heartlessly and ruthlessly demolished our dirt hut. But I moved through the grieving process rather swiftly with a mere 40 years of therapy, and began chopping down trees on our island on the morning of day 9 because they were annoying me. I then made our storage system look a bit less awful, and then realized I could go ahead and check off some of the 1.21 blocks and items we need to collect. So I placed in some more dirt in this part of the island, and then crafted and placed it down a crafter. I then crafted a crafter using said crafter to get a new 1.21 advancement. Crafters crafting crafters. Pretty crafty if I do say so myself. I'm sorry. Our efforts then finally paid off because a wandering trader had already spawned. He was invisible, but he had a jungle sapling trade, which is the main trade I want other than sugarcane, because I want our base to be jungle themed. So I trapped him in a boat, and then his llamas disappeared. I wonder where they went in such a hurry. Oh, cut. I don't have any way to get emeralds yet, but hopefully this boat prevents the wandering trader from despawning until we get emeralds so we can get that jungle sapling trade. And just to make sure bro survives until then, I built a cobblestone shelter around him. I then expanded our wheat farm more, and now it's day 10, and we're officially 10% of the way through this challenge. And we're making a decent bit of progress so far, but there's still a lot left to do. So on the morning of day 10, I crafted and placed down the copper grates, doors, and trapdoors. I then decided that disgusting creature had a bit too much freedom, so I chained him to this fence post and left him there forever. Once you obtain one singular brain cell, I will release you. So basically, I won't release you. I also attached a boat to a fence post with the other lead I got from the llamas. So yeah, it's pretty cool that you can do that now in 1.21. That feature is going to make transporting villagers once we get them later on a lot easier. Speaking of getting villagers though, we still need to get blocks to build the mob farm so we can actually do that. So I headed back into the mines for another overworked underpaid shift, and I hacked at stone, dirt, and gravel for basically the rest of the day before resurfacing by the end of the day. I then crafted a stone cutter and then crafted some chiseled copper using said stone cutter and placed it into our 1.21 blocks display on the morning of day 11. We almost had enough blocks to build the mob farm, so after placing a bunch more dirt into the island, I headed back into the mines and continued excavating profits from the earth for the rest of the day. Then wasted time extending the mine through this water cave for some reason on the morning of day 12. I continued that process until my brain imploded and then headed back up to the surface. I then committed my daily dose of deforestation for mob farm resources, but mostly to smelt into charcoal for fuel. I then discovered that you can plant saplings on farms. I have no actual idea why I never knew you could do this, but this is absolutely fascinating. I was still lacking funding for my business venture, however, and investors were showing little to no interest. So I took matters into my own hands and headed back into the mines again and proceeded to obliterate stone for basically the rest of the day. And on the morning of day 13, I crafted up the remainder of the materials required to build the mob farm, and then it was finally time to actually build it. I began by bridging out a bit from the island because this farm is going to be mildly atrocious looking. I then began building up with cobblestone